All right, hey, it's Alexander Lawrence, the Portable Infinite. Today I'm going to be reading from Ulysses. I'm going to go through. I don't know how long this is going to take me. It might be over a couple months, but read a little bit from the first chapter and just talk about the chapter. I noticed. It's a little bit different from his previous book. It's some of the same characters. The, I mean, yeah, it kind of starts out. This book starts out. There's some stylistic changes, and the end. He's kind of imagining leaving Ireland, and then there's like some diary entries. So it's a little bit different from the beginning of Ulysses. He's with let's see, uh, let's see. Well, a summary. Oh yeah. Okay. So I mean, Leopold Bloom's the main character of this book, but the first three chapters have nothing to do with Leopold Bloom. So Stephen Dallas. We kind of after this book, Portrait Artist. It's maybe a few years after. He's just we don't know what he's doing. Has he left Ireland yet? He's a 22-year-old artist, and so yeah, that's kind of weird. That's kind of weird. It takes place. The first chapter takes place in Martello Tower. So let me read a page or so just to get this. Stately, plump Buck Mulligan came from the stairhead bearing a bowl of lather on which a mirror and a razor lay crossed. A yellow dressing gown, ungirdled, was sustained gently behind him on the mild morning air. He held the bowl aloft and intoned in Trobio alter day. Halted, he peered down the dark winding stairs and called coarsely, "Come up, Kinch! Come up, you fearful Jesuit!" Solemnly he came forward and mounted the round gun rest. He faced about and blessed gravely thrice the tower, the surrounding land and the waking mountains. There, catching sight of Stephen Dedalus, he bent toward him and made rapid crosses in the air, gurgling in his throat and shaking his head. Stephen Dedalus, displeased and sleepy, leaned his arms on the top of the staircase and looked coldly at the shaking, gurgling face that blessed him, equine in its length, and at the light, untonsured hair, grained and hued like pale oak. Buck Mulligan peeped an instant under the mirror and then covered the bowl smartly. "Back to barracks," he said sternly. He added in a preacher's tone, "For this, oh dearly beloved, is the genuine Christine, body and soul and blood and owns. Slow music, please. Shut your eyes, gents. One moment. A little trouble about those white corpuscles. Silence all." He peered sideways up and gave a long, slow whistle of call, then paused a while in the rapt attention. His eyes, he in rapt attention, his even white teeth gleaming here and there with gold points. Chrysotomos. Two strong, shrill whistles answered through the calm. "Thanks, old chap," he cried briskly. "That will do nicely." Switched off of the curtain while you. He stepped off the gun rest and looked gravely at his watcher, gathering about his legs the loose folds of the gown, the plump, shadowed face, and the sullen oval jowl recalled a prelate, patron of the arts in the Middle Ages. A present smile broke quietly over his lips. "The mockery of it," he said gaily. "Your absurd name in ancient Greek." He poised. He pointed his finger in friendly jest and went over to the parapet, laughing at himself. Stephen Dedalus stepped up, followed him wearily halfway, and sat down on the edge of the gun rest, watching him still as he propped his mirror on the parapet, dipped the brush in the bowl, and lathered cheeks and neck. Buck Mulligan's gay voice went on. My name is absurd too. Malachi Mulligan, two dactyls, but it has a Hellenic ring, hasn't it? Tripping and sunny like the buck himself. We must go to Athens. Will you come if I can get the aunt to fork over 20 quid? He laid his brush aside and laughing with delight cried, will he come, the jejune Jesuit? Ceasing, he began to shave with care. Tell me, Mulligan, Stephen said quietly. Yes, my love. How long is Haynes going to stay in this tower? So, yeah, I mean, they're in the tower. He's shaving. They're waking up. They're having breakfast. Haynes brings some food, I think. There's three of them, and they're just kind of arguing about the rent and stuff. And they're just but the writing is so like all over the place. I mean, it's not like Joyce gets very expansive like later in this book, but in this one it's you're kind of like you're kind of like I mean, it's very writerly and stuff. He's like playing around with language a little bit. I mean, it's very I mean, this whole book takes place in a day. The chapter takes place maybe in an hour or less, and it seems like it's like just I mean there's not much going on, so there's a lot of description and playing around with language, and just the character of Buck Mulligan's kind of dominates the first chapter, and they're just kind of talking. The first chapter is only like 20 pages. Not much happens, and they're just kind of talking, and you kind of introduced to Buck Mulligan's. He's in a little bit of the book. He's not in a lot of the book, but he's sort of. And then, there is the line, I am the boy that can enjoy invisibility. And Yeats is quoted. So there's a few quotes. I mean, a lot like Dostoevsky, and they're just kind of talking about stuff. See, and they're talking. He calls him Kinch. Haynes kind of shows up towards the end of the chapter, and they're talking about the rent. So, and then there's some more quotes, and then they're kind of talking about. There's the line, I am the servants of two masters, Stephen said, in English and in Italian. Italian? A crazy queen, old and jealous, kneel down before me, and stuff. And so, I mean, the chapter ends with usurper, like, he's kind of like, they're kind of talking about the hold on. Okay, I got about 8 minutes. Oh, we had a little break there, so yeah. So, the first 3 chapters do not deal with Leopold Bloom, but with Daedalus, who's the protagonist of the previous novel. The Odyssey opens with Odysseus' son rather than Odysseus himself. He has breakfast with his roommates, Buck Mulligan and Haynes. They live in Martello Tower, which Bono supposedly owns now. Stephen has been renting since he returned from Paris to Dublin, seeing his dying mother a year ago. He still feels guilty for refusing to pray at his deathbed, losing his faith in God. His roommates are so intolerable, but he decides to go. Yeah, he's like, when I first read this book, I mean, I didn't, like many years ago, I was reading it now. It's going to be maybe the 10th or 15th or 20th time I've read it, maybe. And I didn't find that chapter difficult, nor chapter 2 where he's at the school. The chapter I found difficult was number 3. I didn't even know where I was. I didn't expect the big chapter 3 I mean, just the first two paragraphs, I didn't even know what was going on. Almost nothing happens in chapter three. So we'll be getting into that one soon. Maybe I'll be talking about that one because so yeah, this chapter. I mean, I like it. It just it's it's very lively. The prose. It just seems like I mean it's very well written and of course when he uses the word gay, he just means happy. He doesn't really. I mean, they didn't really. People didn't talk gay. So that's about 10 minutes. Let's stop it there. That's Ulysses' first chapter. I mean, I feel it's like anybody could read. I mean, a lot of people when they study literature, they read the first part of Ulysses, at least the first chapter. You get an idea of Ireland, 100 years ago, and the main characters of the book, especially Stephen Dedalus is probably like there's Stephen Dedalus, Molly Bloom, and Leopold Bloom are the main characters, and look for. This is one of my favorite books. Wish I could say more, but they're probably, there's not much to comment on. The first chapter is very transparent. Like, and very little is happening at the beginning of the book. Okay, great. We'll be back soon.